Hi, good morning. Welcome to the latest episode of the Bitcoin Morning Brief. Today is March 27th, and it's an exciting day. I'm here in North Carolina, so hopefully everything works out right now in the woods, but we do have really good Wi-Fi. So, Tone, how's everything going?
Good. I think I solved my internet connection problem. It should be much better now. Still here in Ukraine. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Leah, did we lose you? We might have lost Leah. Giacomo, how's everything going?
Cool, from Italy, and internet is okay, but we are not in the woods, which is aesthetically less pleasant.
That's good. All right, let's go to our first stories. So, here we go. If you lose me, just let me know. So, big Asian interest as eTORO seals $100 million investment deal. So, in a press release from March 21st, eTORO, which currently offers 9 cryptocurrencies for investment along with a raft of traditional assets, unveiled China Minsheng Financial as the leader of the funding round. So, first off, I had never heard of eTORO. And after checking out Crunchbase, it's important to note that they actually had a down round in 2015. And this is their latest investment since that down round 3 years later. So, and also it's only Asian investment firms. So as a kind of VC background, down rounds are terrible, especially at a Series D stage. They often happen at a far earlier stage, but you want to completely avoid when this happens. So really, just to summarize, it's when a company raises a lot of money with a high val and then investors think that it no longer deserves that. Tone, this is a big deal because of the size of the investors in this investment.
Sorry, unfortunately, I kind of, the Twitter didn't work again. It sent out a link, I believe, to a different tweet, and it failed on us again. So I don't know what's going on there. I did read the article, but I missed the part. So it's a lower seed on the current round?
So the current round is huge. It's 100 mil, but the latest round prior was 12 mil, which was a down round. My understanding, if I remember this morning, was 14 mil. So, and that was back in 2015. So it's a huge jump.
From fourth to fifth?
From D to E, Series D to Series E.
So that's a good thing, no?
It's a great thing. It's just, I think, very interesting that they would have a down round 3 years ago. And then all of a sudden, obviously, these investment firms in Asia think that something is going to skyrocket, that they have a huge val, that they're going to do really big things. So not just are they having so much money pouring in, but from really great investors. And obviously having a down round means that a lot of people thought that they were doing terribly. So it's completely juxtaposed. So that's, I just wanted to know your questions on why do you think that 3 years later they had a complete turnaround?
Well, it's the hype. It's simply the hype that's been going on. There's a lot more hype about the stuff than before. Is eToro just another exchange?
No, it's a social platform in which you can social trading platform. Basically, you have traders with strategies, and you can copy the strategy of the other trader based on his streak of successes or failures. So it's a copycat trading strategy platform.
Gotcha. I think it just has to do I think it's just all about the hype of the blockchain. I mean, at least they're not doing an ICO, so I have no problem with their operation. So that's a good thing. And that's great. And I think it's just hype, and especially with Asia now. I mean, in Japan, Bitcoin is very popular and it's pretty legal. I mean, I read over the story. But I didn't have time to research the company and what it does. The story didn't actually make that clear, unfortunately. And yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of hype because people think that a lot of these professional investors do not want to invest in ICO. Investing in ICO is really for the 15-year-olds. But all professional investors, they will still try to find companies that they think can do well, and they can get a nice return on investment.
Yeah, Yeah, I have a slightly different take on this story. I think it's interesting from one angle. Basically, what we have seen now is that there are two kinds of cryptocurrencies users. On one side, you have the actual users, the people that need permissionless payment or even permissionless trading. For example, people that want to trade outside the regulation without KYC, without AML, without controls, or doing insider trading or front running and stuff like that. For this kind of traders to have an open market which is completely permissionless can have some kind of value proposition. But then you have the traditional regulated kind of investors and traders. For these people as well, for example, for an institutional trader, investing in Bitcoin can make sense, even if it's just regulated, KYC, AML, institutional, it's still an interesting asset. And if you are a trader, to trade on shitcoins because of their volatility can anyway be interesting, even if you don't leverage any kind of part. So for what I think is interesting is that this second category of cryptocurrency users, they don't really need to install wallets, to understand blockchain, to pay on-chain fees, to have to deal with exotic, borderline, dodgy exchanges. They just want to use traditional trading platforms. eTORO is an example, but in a way also the Revolut app is another example. Now on Revolut you can buy Bitcoin and sell Bitcoin or Ethereum or other shitcoins. You can do the same. You can do the same with Bitcoin on the Cash app from Square, and this makes sense that trading incumbents, so platforms that were already used by traders, are now used instead of new complex cryptocurrency specific tools in order to do just trading. So if you don't need to leverage the permissionless features of Bitcoin, you are good enough with something like eToro. Actually, the platform is not so unknown for us in Italy, because if you look for Bitcoin news from Italy, at least, I don't know, I swear, you will have a continuous pop-up of Italian marketing ads of eToro. They are very, very aggressive here, and they are targeted to traders, not to cryptocurrency users. So it makes kind of sense that the trading moves from, I don't know, Bitfinex to these kind of incumbents.
Absolutely. That's very interesting. So, they haven't yet named which markets they aim to cover, but with such a large investment, let's see what they do. And so you'll be able to follow, especially while in Italy, as you're saying. This one, very interesting. Let's see if we can get it up. So Google's working on its own blockchain related technology. So Google has yet to make an official announcement about the development, but a spokesperson told Bloomberg, and a different one, like many new technologies, we have individuals in various teams exploring potential uses of blockchain, but it's way too early for us to speculate about any possible uses or plans. So I think that this shows how far ahead Google research is, and that they're taking IBM on directly. They've been working on this for over 2 years, it says, and since they're making it public and basically saying that who they're going after in the space with a whole division, it's pretty game changing. And from a business perspective, it's important to note that this is not core to their business model, right? As the vast majority of Google's revenue is made from advertising like AdWords or AdSense. However, if they roll out a white label product, which they talk about, that third parties can utilize and run on their servers, then that could be huge, right? So Giacomo, watch out, IBM, here comes Google.
Yeah, so let's say that my default position over any kind of blockchain news is to call out a scam, a marketing scam. So it's just a marketing stunt, leveraging the hype, but with nothing substantial. But I would like to give Google the benefit of the doubt, especially because of timing. I mean, if Google just wanted to exit with some kind of fake blockchain stuff like Hyperledger, they could just do that in 2015. The fact that they waited up to now could leave the door open for some kind of serious work. I'm reading that they are planning to use it somehow in a way which is related with their cloud system. So that could be, I mean, when you say blockchain, when an executive says blockchain, they could basically mean four things. One is open source stuff. Now it's cool to call everything open source blockchain. So maybe is Google thinking about something open source? Or it could be use of cryptography. I mean, if Google Drive switch it to be client-side encrypted, that is not blockchain at all in a meaningful sense. But it could be cool, as sometimes executives like to call blockchain any kind of use of cryptography. Or it could be actual use of blockchain in order to basically timestamp and notarize the content of the data. Like think about you put something on Google Drive, and Google will timestamp it with, for example, open timestamps on Bitcoin. I don't think that I don't think they're doing something so rational, but it would be pretty rational, and it would be interesting. Like GitHub is allowing open timestamps, and other parties are. So it would make sense. Or they're trying to build a new blockchain clone with strange incentives mechanism and with crazy game theory with tokens. I hope it's not the latest, and I hope it's not the first two. I mean, the best hope is that they are doing something related to with the notarization and timestamping. We will see.
Tone, it sounds like there's a lot of opportunities for them to utilize this. Last year and for the past couple of years, they have been some of the leading investors in the space of acquiring blockchain startups. And they actually, as we know, invested in LedgerX as well as Ripple. How do you think, if they will, potentially roll up all their different acquisitions, and investments with these potentials?
Well, no, I mean, I'm going to comment on Giacomo, what you said. I'm going to go the other way here. Like, until I know what the definition of blockchain is from Google, I can't give them the benefit of the doubt, okay? Because based on how other people use the definition of blockchain, Google has had some of the top blockchains in the space pre-2009. Google Drive and Google Docs are amazing blockchains. They are better blockchains than 90% of the blockchain projects that have come out in the last 10 years, including like as recently as yesterday. Google Docs is one of the best blockchains the world has ever had. So what is Google's definition of blockchain? If their definition of blockchain is something like that, then they're just going to waste all of that money. Now, of course, it's nice to announce anything. The question is, how much money are they going to spend? There were a couple of other interesting things in that article, if you want to highlight them, Leah. Like it was all like in the beginning, like they're not being very, very clear. Hold on a second. Yeah, they're explaining here the paragraph that talks about digital ledgers.
I don't have access to Bloomberg right now.
Oh,
for some reason it cut me off.
Okay, I'll read it. Here's what's written in the article, which I wish this was stated by Google, but it doesn't look like it is. The article says digital ledgers like blockchain-powered Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, they are databases, correct, that are updated regularly across thousands of computers over the internet, like any other database. Each entry is confirmed by these machines, which can be part of a public network or run privately by computers. There are different kinds of digital ledgers. Blockchain is only one. Correct. Blockchain is only one, and it's a proof of work. So unless Google is interested in using proof of work, and then if they are going to use proof of work, which proof of work are they going to do? Like the article also says that they're not going to there was another quote. I should have highlighted them ahead of time. But like I have no idea what they're gonna do. Like nobody does. Like these stories, they mean absolutely nothing. Like are they gonna? Is it gonna be private or is it gonna be public? Are they gonna use proof of work or are they not gonna use proof of work? If they're gonna use proof of work, which proof of work are they gonna use? Are they gonna design their own? Doesn't sound like it. If they're not gonna design their own proof of work, are they gonna use Bitcoin or are they gonna use something else? I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt because I don't know what their definition of blockchain is. I would like to hear it from somebody at Google. What is a blockchain? And I don't think they can answer.
Well, sounds like the jury is out. From ambiguity to lack of transparency.
I will say it is kind of ironic that It is kind of ironic that this news comes out about a week after they're banning all crypto-related ads.
Yeah,
Very
except theirs.
Very true. And if everybody noticed, I'm sure they have, Twitter has as well. So here we go. It's lights out for LitePay as company ceases all operations. So the Litecoin Foundation announced yesterday that LitePay CEO Kenneth Asare had shut down all operations related to the project and is actively preparing to sell the company. Litecoin was paying money into the project. Okay, so just kind of moving down. Here we go. For the most part, so what was happening was the Litecoin Foundation was paying money into the project and decided to completely stop. Litecoin, it was overhyped. They were upset with the lack of transparency. They thought that the CEO was doing a terrible job, and they said, we're done. What I read into this is that it just simply wasn't working, right? And that it was a bust, and he wasn't upfront about it. Also, since it isn't currently affecting Litecoin, something that I was also just kind of thinking about was that most likely the foundation wanted to get in front of it prior to waiting for it to get worse. So said, all right, closing these doors. Tone, you mentioned a couple days ago how all these payment systems are failing. Does it surprise you that Litecoin Foundation's payment LitePay also failed?
Not at all. It doesn't surprise me one bit. No one uses Litecoin. Like it's insane. People barely use Bitcoin. Nobody uses Litecoin, especially now that Bitcoin transactions are cheap again, fast again, are about to become infinitely cheap and infinitely fast, with Lightning coming out. So no one uses Litecoin. No one cares. I'm not surprised at all that this happened. I'll let Giacomo comment from here because I got more to say on a different side of things. To me, I know some people are upset. To me, this is really good news. Like, not because I don't like Litecoin or anything like that, because this is reality as opposed to ICO fantasy. So I want to talk about that part, but I'll listen to Giacomo's views first.
Yeah, basically agree. I think here we're watching the overlap between two filed ideas. One idea is to create a clone of Bitcoin, which that trades more centralization for faster and larger blocks. So Litecoin, even before Bcash, they start make any sense. As you said, Bitcoin is good enough if you want to wait some hours and to spend some dollars, and if you don't, any some transaction, you don't use a completely different altcoin. So Litecoin, nobody uses altcoin except for speculation, like any other altcoin, basically, with the exception. And on the other hand, even with Bitcoin, payment processors are basically useless because they assume that you have business that aren't able to accept Bitcoin directly, which is false. A lot of permissionless are dying for the opportunity to use Bitcoin instead of using bank accounts. I think there are plenty of people that want to sell goods and services on the internet being paid anonymously only in Bitcoin. But the problem is that nobody is on the other side in order to pay them. Nobody owns Bitcoin. And the very few people that owns Bitcoin, they don't want to spend Bitcoin, starting with myself. So no business case for payment processors. Maybe there could be a business case for reverse payment processors, not for the normal one. So if even BitPay is failing, let's imagine something like that on top of a currency that nobody uses. So I agree with Tom.
Yeah, and we can even say, yeah, I'll even add to that. Coinbase is failing. That's why they're adding, shitcoins and becoming a shitcoin exchange, collecting fees from speculators trading useless assets because they can't sustain their own valuation based on their original core product of being a Bitcoin payment processor.
Right.
Yeah, that's a spiral. I mean, the more your original business plan was broken, the more you basically you go in panic. And when you panic, basically you do stupid stuff like antagonizing the community, supporting attacks against Bitcoin, supporting contentious changes. And BitPay and Coinbase, did exactly that. You start to sell scam coins, participate to ICOs, try to actually attack and antagonize the Bitcoin, and that's a spiral basically. The worse you are, the worse off you will be at the end.
Right. So Tone, you more on this. You received a tweet yesterday. So we have Charlie Lee on Charlie Lee. Can you talk about what is going on here?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't actually click on the Reddit post. I just looked at the tweet itself. Was there more than one picture? Hold on. Yeah. No, that wasn't it. That wasn't it. I haven't seen that one. Hold on. I do want to read that one. I didn't see that. If you have the link, if you can pull that up.
Yep. Hold on. Give me a second.
I'll do it.
Got it. Nope. Yep. Got it.
Yep. Yeah. That's what I was looking at. Like I haven't had time to read the Reddit post. I haven't had time to read the Reddit post. But there's a couple of things here, right? So Charlie Lee is on the board of the Bitcoin Foundation, and Bitcoin Foundation states that they were, I don't know if they were the only investor in LitePay, but they were the main investor in LitePay. And Charlie Lee in that article, or he claims he knew nothing of this. Okay, so there's multiple problems here. First of all, if you're not going to be involved in a company you're on the board of directors on, you should not be on the freaking board of directors, okay? That's the first problem that plagues this space. If you're not going to be actively involved in a product, you should not be an advisor. If you're an advisor, maybe you should be held accountable when that product goes bad. So don't become an advisor to a bunch of products you don't know. Because if you're going to make money from these products, you should be held accountable when something goes bad. Now, the other reality of the situation, here's the good news. The good news is that this is how it's supposed to work. You're supposed to have a company that has a board of directors that makes sure that you are doing what you're doing. It looks like the Litecoin Foundation did something responsible and said, we're not giving you any more money because we don't like the direction you're taking the company. You can't prove how you're spending that money. This is how real investment works. So the Litecoin Foundation did exactly what they were supposed to do. When you have a CEO and you have a company that isn't doing what you gave them money to do, you do not give them any more money and you shut down that project. This does not happen in the ICO space, and this is the problem that is currently going on. They completely avoid any kind of oversight from their investors by not going to the investors, by going to the stupidity of the crowd investing in their project where they have nobody holding them accountable. So the Litecoin Foundation, which should have absolutely no business investing in businesses in the first place, but at least they invested in a business and they did the right thing afterwards. So so the bad thing is here, Litecoin Foundation should have nothing to do with picking and choosing winners and losers and giving them money, but at least they acted responsibly after they did that. And if you are going to be a board of directors of something that is going to invest money into things, you should know what the hell is going on. Otherwise, maybe you don't have time to be on the board of directors. I tell everyone, I will never be an advisor for your company. I have no time to even read your white paper. Why would I ever be an advisor to your company? And more people should do that, or they should also be held accountable.
Right, and absolutely. And to note, right, the specific job, as you mentioned, of someone on a director or board of directors is to, one, oversee the activities to the minutia, right, of everything. And then two, also take advice of what is the appropriate interests of the shareholders and stakeholders to make sure that everybody's making money, but the minutia of what's going on during the day. So that's extremely bad oversight. Even though he's saying that he claims nothing, that he knew nothing. So definitely something to look into as the person who tweeted at you, maybe a crypto scam.
Right. No, I'm not gonna do a crypto scam, and it's so not worth it. Like I'm not gonna try to figure out whether Charlie Lee knew something or knew nothing. That's irrelevant to me, right? Like Charlie Lee could be telling the truth that he knew nothing. Charlie Lee could be lying that he knew nothing and he knew everything. The point is, either way, if you know nothing about what the hell is going on, when you are an investor of a company that's on a board of directors, then maybe you shouldn't be on the board of directors. That's the problem. Like the problem, if you're going to be on a board of directors of the Litecoin Foundation, maybe you guys shouldn't be picking winners and losers and playing a VC game, so that then you can say you know nothing. Like if you're gonna invest in companies, then you're supposed to know something. Like it's pick one. You can't have it both ways.
Absolutely. And yeah, just finally to note for everybody that the Litecoin Foundation is listed as a nonprofit organization. So that is very interesting in the way that they were operating. Absolutely. Giacomo, mempool, but also what's going on with the Lightning update.
So yeah, since we are not giving a lot of updates about the mempool because the mempool is basically pretty empty right now, we will give updates when something substantial happens, like a new spam attack or something like that. Right now, it could be more interesting to watch a Lightning Notes update. Actually, we have right now 1,348 nodes with 2,321 channels between the nodes, basically almost 6 Bitcoin of capacity, and well, of these 1,348 nodes, 762 have actually active channels, which is interesting because this is all mainnet, of course, and they are even more than Bcash nodes like Bitcoin ABC running nodes. We have just 1,280 Bitcoin Cash or Bcash nodes, which, as we know by some timing comparison, are probably over 70% or 60% run by a single operator on some Amazon AWS server, just like Bitcoin XT or Bitcoin Classic and stuff, or Unlimited. Let's assume that these Bcash nodes are real. They are not. We have now more mainnet functioning Lightning Network nodes than Bcash nodes.
Interesting. Tone, price?
All right, let's talk about the price. Let me see here. I need to grab screen share. So you got to stop yours. Okay. Yeah, also on the road. Let's do that. All right, can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so gotta move this over. As I stated yesterday morning on this show, the weekly chart has gone bearish. This is very, very bad. I also said yesterday was interesting, right? So yesterday I said the weekly chart had gone bearish, but the time to short was like about 8 hours earlier, 8 to 12 hours earlier. So we do the show once every 24 hours. I'm too busy here in Ukraine to do an evening podcast on the price of Bitcoin. So I wasn't able to warn people of that. So this is where you need to learn some skills as a trader. That's it. We're bearish. Now, it's possible that we can close the week back at the top, in which case your bearish trade would lose money. But the last time, the weekly Bitcoin chart was in the same environment as it is today. The price of Bitcoin was $12,750 and $50. So we're hitting the same metric again. Last time we fell quite a bit. I don't know how much we're going to fall this time, but until I see anything positive, the long-term view will remain bearish. It's been a really long time. The only prior time, probably the only time in 20 17, Bitcoin went bearish on a weekly was back in July at a price of 2,400, and that one went all the way down to 1,800, just like the more recent time when bearish at 12,750, went all the way down to 6, lost about 50%. However, the time before that, when it actually did go bearish at a price of $930, that would have been a losing trade going bearish. But even at that time, I got to remember if I believe I called that one perfectly correct for a buy back up based on daily charts. Daily charts never went bearish, even though weekly charts did. That was a very different environment. Let's take a look at the daily chart. The daily chart obviously looks a little, I mean, we were down pretty big earlier today, where the day is about halfway done. It looks like we are bouncing back to the upside. We are on a 13 with a green up arrow. I mean, the last time that happened was also about 2 weeks ago, about a week and a half ago, and we bounced for a day and then continued to go lower. I remain fairly bearish. It looks like the arrows that I drew 10 days ago worked out absolutely perfectly. The daily chart went bearish as of 8,450. It remains bearish. I understand this is a reversal candle sitting at the trend line. So you now have two things that are potentially slowing down the bearish run. The indicator is on a 4 of 9, so the indicator is bearish. You still need a close below the trend line, and you need an open and a close one more day fully below the trend line. So maybe tomorrow we can establish a full-blown bearish trend. It is still possible that we bounce from here back to the upside and into the top of the trading channel around 9,600. It's possible, though unlikely. People can also look at this as like almost a giant cup and handle to the downside, but maybe not yet. I don't think so. I still think that we could get to this point in a triangle, but because the run up last week did not get us all the way to 10,000, the chances of us bouncing here are actually smaller. It looks like Bitcoin is weaker by price, and but keep an eye on it. Again, I would not be shorting Bitcoin at this moment, because now you do have what looks like a reversal candle. It needs to close as a reversal candle. It needs to hold $8,000 today, and then there is a chance that it can go back up over the next few weeks. But I remain way more bearish in this environment than bullish. I think that the $6,000 low will be challenged. I can't see us holding this trend line much longer. But tomorrow will be a much more interesting look at the price based on how we close today. If we close today in the vicinity of 8,000 and then get a higher high tomorrow than today, there could be a bit of a bounce. If we don't close on a reversal candle today and start to tick down at the beginning of the next candle tomorrow, it becomes a true bearish environment. So today is going to be a pretty big day. It really doesn't matter right now what the shorter time frames do. It's all about the daily candle at the bottom of a trend line that everyone is now watching. The 4 hour, what is this? This is the 1 hour. The 1 hour still hasn't given us that elusive 13. Still working on those pluses. Even if I go to the 12 hour, there shouldn't be anything really interesting there. The charts, the overall weekly chart has gone bearish. The daily chart is hanging on by a thread with the possibility of going to the top of the channel before consolidating at 9,000. But I'm still leaning bearish here. The lower time frames mean nothing. I heard that the stock market, has rebounded. Excellent. That's what I wanted to see. This is what I was generally expecting. I expected my 9 in the stock market. I guess it's open today. I wanted to see that 9 near the bottom for a perfectly timed bounce. I remain bullish the stock market going forward. Look, it bounced on an aggressive and sequential 13. This looks very nice. Let me pull out all the numbers here. I like it. There it is. Again, Wall Street loves their 13s. We hit this 9, and there it is. There's the 13. The 13 was fine. It was lower than the 9 itself, and it looks good. I'm ready to be almost ready to be a stock market bull again. I think the worst is now over. We have a secondary low. I guarantee you we have a perhaps divergence here. No, not exactly, a little bit of a divergence. I kind of like it. Yeah, I think we're ready to turn back up, but need to be a little cautious. Need to get back over the 50-day moving average. But I'm not worried here about the market, like I said in the past. All right, I will stop my screen share. We will flip all of us on at the same time. It's already getting late here in Ukraine. Back home tomorrow, actually.
All right, let's see what.
I just got a little gift that's really, really cool. Check this out. I gotta tweet this bad boy out. It's like it's like a leather bracelet with like a silver Bitcoin clip. And let me not pull what Roger did a couple of months ago by displaying his private key, because on the back of this guy, there's actually an engraved private key. Really cool.
So don't use it around anymore. Now you can just.
Yeah, I don't want to lose my $10.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. More swag. All right. Well, let's see what happens today with Bitcoin's price action and the Dow with its pretty setup. Thanks, everybody. It's the Bitcoin Morning Brief. I'm Leah Wald. It's March 27th. You can find this episode on iTunes. Thanks to the World Crypto Network. You guys rock. Giacomo?
Bye, guys. See you tomorrow.
Tone?
Bye, Giacomo.
Bye, everybody.
Oh, wait, I got to turn this off.